Testing, 1, 2, 3. Is it recording? It is recording. Okay, so we're gonna test this out by doing our review. This is Tian Buku 1.
And you laugh.
This is the Black Russian podcast video. We just watched the two Red Table Talks with the Smiths.
Yep.
And
Jada and Will.
Yeah, so while we're driving to LA, we're gonna talk about it. So, you know, overall, there was a lot of really, really good stuff. What they talked about, and as far as, you know, the fantasy they're trying to keep and her living for, you know, in his fantasy world and his, you know, is so true. And then breaking that and helping him break his shit down, as painful as it was what actually freed them from the chains of the confinement and perception versus the reality of who they were. I also thought it was beautiful that, you know, they got to the point where he talks about she really appreciates the internal travel and really the cultural and spiritual of what a relationship means. And he was a very material external manifestation of it. It's the balance of perception and reality, and that it didn't have to come to a place where it was going to be one or the other. We're either going to be spiritual and fuck it all, or we're going to be material and not worry about that. And they found a way to do it both. I thought that was really cool.
I was just excited to hear them actually speak honestly about the marriage.
Right.
How often do you hear that? You don't hear it from regular people, and you definitely don't hear it from celebrities. So just the fact that they will sit down and break down their 20-year-long marriage in a way that absolutely resonates to anyone who's been married that long and wants to be honest about it.
Right.
You know, I think that most of what they were saying resonates or should resonate to people that have been married for so long.
Right. And that, you know, you can have a strong marriage, life partnership without the term marriage, or without it being the perception of what marriage is supposed to be. A lot of times we act like that the template of marriage is so sacred that you want that on your belt. We're happily married and, you know, that's my wife, and you want to do like that, and like, we're so conscious of what other people's perceptions are of our marriage on the outside. On the inside, what our social construct is from how we grew up and our internal perception of what it's supposed to be. And a lot of times we fail at measuring up to what we perceive it to be, and then we question, is it us, is something wrong with us?
Yeah, I think that it's cool that neither one thought about getting a divorce. Right. And that you can break the current marriage up completely because it's not working.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that you're divorcing. Divorcing is probably the easy way out in that situation. But actually, because then you just blame the other and you walk away, and then you go and build another relationship just like that. But I think breaking that stuff completely up and then rebuilding it, that's what takes guts and courage and time and keeping the family together and raising kids while doing that work. Whether you have millions like they do or you don't have millions, that's the real work. Yeah. Either one of them could have and most likely would have walked away, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And, you know, like sitting and talking about it like it wasn't even an option. Like you and I didn't have it as an option to break up and go our separate ways. That would not have done me any good or you any good.
Right. It would have solved the thing. And, you know, the big part of it to me was when you tune in to the nuances of what's going right and what's going wrong in your relationship, then you can see that the shit that may not be working may not be our chemistry is not working or our family is not working. It could be the foundation or specific things and how we built it that's not working, and that we can actually put it into that, spend some time away, which was amazing that they did. Spend time away, meaning it doesn't have to be physically away. It could be emancipating each other from the confines of the marriage and encouraging each other to figure out as individuals what it is that makes you happy and do that. And you have all the freedom and space to do that, whatever that is.
It's funny they never went into the details of whatever that is.
Right. Well, we'll get to we're talking the good parts now, and then we'll get to the parts that we're like, okay, we wish there's more of. So, a lot of times with the people that we've talked to, a lot of people in marriages that we know for a long time are fairly clear about some of the things they are not happy with. Some of them don't allow themselves to even think too deep about it. They'll be like, oh, well, maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe I'm just being selfish or ungrateful. Maybe that's just, maybe I'm tripping. And they won't even allow themselves to fully just go into it and be like, say all their gripes, because they feel like if they do that, then that's something you can't do that. That's wrong. You cannot shit on the sanctity of marriage. But if you give them space and encouragement, they can tell you all the things that's wrong. But most of the time, I would say in our experience, probably about 85, 90% of the time, they would never tell the other person in the marriage exactly the honesty of what it is they don't like, because they have a fear that if they say these things, the other person's going to reject them, get mad, or believe they don't want the marriage. When the reality is like, no, I want us to work, but this shit ain't working. And so the bravery is where people's butt cheeks usually clench, and they just go, it's easier to just not say shit and internalize it, and just let it blow up every now and then when it gets triggered. Yeah. So that was pretty dope.
No, just the fact that that stuff takes years. It's painful. It's painful for both people. It takes sweat and tears, and work and sweat and tears, and work and sweat and tears, and then you get up and you do it again. Yeah. And it literally is not a 1 month thing. It's not a 3 month thing. It's not a year thing. It's years.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of self-work, like they were talking about. Like, it's hard to set someone free and give them full control over their decision-making process. And like Will said, your freedom, I mean supporting you in whatever you choose to do. There may be some of the things that make you happy that I don't agree with or I don't like, but that's beside the point. That should not negate my support of you. That's big. It's very hard to do that. It takes a lot of self-work, because in empowering someone to do whatever they want, there may be things that they want to do that you didn't know they wanted to do. Yep. And some of those things may be things that trigger your most deepest insecurity. And if you're not ready to deal with that, your fear of that pain is going to hinder your ability to truly be there and support and love your partner the way you say you want to. So in all these marriages, things we talk about marriage couples, they never talk about supporting each other's freedom unconditionally. I rarely ever hear that.
They talk about it, but then when it gets to the point where the other person, they talk about it assuming that the other person will never go to the place where it hurts them.
Right.
And once they do, then all of a sudden that whole, no, I support you fully, becomes but not in this, you cannot do this to me, this hurts too much, and you know it, so you shouldn't even think about doing it. How could you?
And it goes into the yuck and yum scenario. So this is a perfect transition. So, when people say, we support each other and love each other unconditionally and we empower each other, they're meaning a certain realm. Now, what is the realm that they don't ever talk about or assume that would also apply to, that they never mentioned as well?
You mean what did Will not mention? What did Jada not mention?
Well, none of them. And even in the marriage we're just talking about, you're saying that in marriages, people say they do support each other, but they only expect it to be support and growth and change in these areas, leaving out this area assuming that they would never want these changes in. To me, that taboo is anything sexual in nature. Yeah. And so, like we said,
but not even anything. You can agree to have an open marriage and then assume that it's going to mean only with women or only with men, only so often.
Right.
No whatever, going away with people, like that type of stuff. And when the other person actually goes, no, actually I don't want to go away for 10 days with this person.
Right.
That hits hard. You never expected it, and that's when you go, oh, I don't like it. I would have never done it to her. What do I do now? I mean, you either shut down and you try and guilt trip the spouse, or you're like, you know what, I committed to giving her as much freedom as she wants. She wants this. It's within our, yeah.
Right. I mean,
gotta let it go.
That whole realm.
Yeah.
Rarely is that realm included. And in the realm of people that do include it, that are having their own style of loving, there's still barriers. But the biggest barriers, the majority of the population will not even talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, the Will and Jada did not talk about that.
Yeah,
I'm like, Will, come on. Can you say what it is that she does that hurts you? Come on.
Yeah, and that's the area we want a little bit more. Like they talked about the root.
Yeah.
Which applies to everything, and they made it very clear it applies to everything.
Right.
But they never went in specifics about everything. And the most taboo things that would be the most eye-raising and the most hardest thing for most people to swallow is their sexual freedom.
Yeah.
That they have different partners, that they've been able to do that, how they've been able to navigate that, how did that fit into it?
Right.
When they were separated, did Jada's activity change? When Will took 2 years off, was he only alone?
Right.
Did he not have any confidants? Did he not have any other people he was sexually active with? How did they deal with that? Because that's one of the pillars of the constructs of marriage they were probably talking about breaking.
Yeah.
Because it's the expectation of what you can and can't do. And Jada seemed very clearly that she is not marriage material. She's ride or die, which means she's loyal, but she's not claimable.
Yeah.
And they never talked about that. And that's such the elephant in the room, that they have this golden opportunity to just like bust it open and add to the normalization
They'll
of
do
it.
They'll give them a few
Think
years.
so?
Yeah, they'll do it.
When? 3 years, 2 years,
Yeah.
5 years?
2-3 years, they'll do it.
I'm saying if they do it, I'm saying they're not gonna do it while they still have public figure careers. I think as much as they talked about letting go of the perception of the public image thing, there was still a perception of the public image thing.
I think it would be awesome if they did it and Jay-Z and Beyonce did it.
Right, and then
Because clearly they're doing the same thing.
So you think Jay-Z and Beyonce are like have their own unique style of relationship?
They're having their problems. They didn't divorce. They now are back to being super close and redefine their marriage.
So do you think the boundaries of monogamy was redefined?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, logically, that's the only way you can honestly reconcile and be like, yeah, you need this. I get it. You're going to need it again. I don't want to go through this again. So, and maybe I want it too.
Yeah. So that's the one thing, the core main area where like, oh, you guys are saying it all. What specifically are those things that are the barriers? Everyone wants to know, tabloid rumors and stuff like that. It's like, well, talk about that, address that, so that way we don't speculate. When you rebuilt your relationship and redefined it, how did sexuality play a role in that? What was your new mold you guys created? Because, we're learning at the Black Russian Podcast is that we personally are more so non-monogamous, although it's fluid. Sometimes we're monogamous, sometimes we're not, but it's not mandated. It's based upon what each of us feel we want to do, not a mandate. If she wants to be monogamous and I don't, or vice versa, it's each individual's choice. It's not, we can't, and all that stuff. So we're trying to really advocate finding your own unique balance in your relationship and loving what your own parameters are, your own script, and hopefully making it to where it's amendable, because shit'll change.
If Will Smith comes my way, I'm not monogamous.
You're like, actually, I'm not monogamous.
I told you that 20 years ago.
Shit, if Will Smith comes my way, I might not be monogamous either. But that's the deal. So, that was our recap.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was dope. I would like. I'm sure the other Red Table interviews are amazing, but I think them two, maybe without Willow this time, so maybe they can go more into the sexuality. I don't know.
Leave Grandma and Willow alone.
Leave Grandma and Willow alone, and y'all get your own, like, maybe dark red table, or like red light red table, and like really go into it. Because that's the stuff that most people really struggle with, and most don't have a voice for.
I think, like when I was listening at the end, I'm like, unfortunately, if you wanted to, you could take everything that they said and apply it to a very general ways that people talk.
Right.
Oh yeah, we're in it, so I want to let you be, support you through being the best you can be.
Right.
You know, they say that.
Right.
But there's a deeper meaning behind it that they kind of go into, but without giving details of what is it? How does Jada hurt Will?
Right.
What is the worst? What is the hardest thing for him to deal with?
Right.
And then he still overcomes that and allows her that freedom. You know, like what are those things? And then you avoid, you take away ability to generalize their concepts.
Right. It
Which
draws
their
from-
concepts are not generalized at all. They're very specific.
Right.
But because they didn't give the actual, like, yeah, she likes to have sex with a lot of other people.
Right.
And it's really, really sensitive to me.
Right.
I have learned how to handle it, sometimes better, sometimes not. But I'm committed to staying, supportive.
Right.
And I see through doing that our relationship has changed and blah, 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 blah. That would take away the, whoever wants to generalize what they're saying.
Right.
And it's like, that would break that opportunity. I think that would make it really hard to take your own marriage where you don't allow people to be who they are,
right.
and like go through this interview and check off the mark,
Like, me
check
too,
off,
me
oh
too.
yeah, I
Right.
do this, oh yeah, I do this, oh yeah, we do that, right?
Right.
Yeah, good, all right, moving on, we're great.
Right. We feel good. We're good.
Yeah.
No, and so I agree. It's like there's, and we try to do this in our podcast, is like get specific to where the things that we talk about will make you feel, ooh, like that feeling when you're like, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah.
And then run it through how we smooth it out.
Yeah.
There was not many of those moments where I was like, ooh, like there's some, but it's not like,
Like what?
well, just like when she was saying like, like you were building this house for you, and how it's crushed his ego, or how Willow said, you have this picture of their family,
Right.
but it's not us. Like those are very like wow and like but it doesn't trigger a lot of
No.
like my insecurities. It doesn't hit that. Talking, if she was like, yes, I have a high sex drive, or I have other people that I fell in love deeply with, that I go away for weeks or two on end, or I bring them to the house and they're part of the family, or Will's like, yeah, I was really close to this woman and we got really deep, and I found a way to really deeply be in love with somebody else and still maintain my family and still handle my priority. That shit is what makes people go and go, ooh, that's where I would have to draw the line, because that's the stuff most people don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
Even the most woke people don't want to deal with that. A lot of most spiritual people will transmit these concepts of energy is something you can't contain, something you can't hold, and we're all spiritual beings, but never apply it to their relationships. They still want to possess, they still want a template, and stuff like that. So, Will and Jada, if you hear this, you probably won't, because there's probably 700 million talks about your guys' talk. We appreciate it. Also, people of color talking about these different constructs. Maybe you guys should have, Monique and them's open marriage on there, because it's another black woman of prominence in Hollywood who's actually open about her own unique style of marriage they have. You can have us on and shit. We come out. We can talk hip hop. We can talk. We can go back. So this is the Black Russian podcast version of this. And if you're seeing this, that means this shit worked in our car to record and actually hear it.
Right.
If it doesn't, it's just us talking.
Will re-record.
Yeah, so that was cool. Continue, but we encourage you guys, Will Smith and Jada, or anybody who's trying to share their story, to really get the specifics in there, to really get the hooks in, to really connect deeply with each other, so we can feel your story and feel the ride, and not just general. It was hard. I felt like quitting. I was going to die. It hurt. It was the worst thing ever, and then I overcame it. Like that. There's no detail in that. So let's go deep. Let's write our own script. Boom. Black Russian Podcast. Tiambu One.
Yeah.
The park ranger she is at the Black Russian Podcast. Stay tuned.